Are Trump and Musk both Putin's puppets?
No puppet, no puppet.
Trump acts like Putin's ventriloquist dummy. It was Trump's mouth moving, but those were Putin's words coming out of it when Trump lied about who started the war in Ukraine and falsely smeared President Zelensky as an unpopular dictator.
A dictator without elections.
I don't want to think where Putin's hand was while his dummy was talking. 3 key facts. Number 1. Russia's grooming of Trump goes back so far and is so deep I can barely scratch the surface, but here is an abbreviated timeline. 1990s to 2000s. As Putin is rising to power in Russia, Trump is falling apart with a series of disastrous bankruptcies.
There was a homeless person sitting right outside of Trump Tower. I remember my father pointing to him and saying, you know, that guy has $8 billion more than me, because he was in such extreme debt at that point.
American banks won't touch Trump, so Russia steps in. Russia's Bayrock Group leases 2 floors in Trump Tower, where Trump lives, and invests in Trump projects. And Russian oligarchs start buying up Trump condos. Remember, Russian oligarchs are basically Putin's capos. There's no major movement of Russian money that isn't tied to Putin. 2006. Here's where it starts getting weirder. Using a shell company, Paul Manafort buys a condo in Trump Tower for more than $3.6 million in cash. At the time, Manafort is working to help elect a Putin puppet in Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. So Trump is being financially backed and physically surrounded by Russian operatives at this point. 2008. Even with Russian money, Trump is very bad at business, so he's on the brink of more business failures. Suddenly, a Russian oligarch buys a Palm Beach mansion from Trump for $95 million, more than double what Trump paid for it, and more than $30 million higher than its appraised value. The oligarch apparently never moves in. Was he even worse at business than Trump? Or was this an emergency cash infusion to Trump from Russia? Later that year, Don Jr. tells a real estate conference, Russians make up a pretty disproportionate cross-section of a lot of our assets. We see a lot of money pouring in from Russia. 2013. A Russian oligarch pays Trump nearly $20 million to bring the Miss Universe pageant to Moscow. Before going, Trump posts a tweet begging Putin to be his new best friend. There are unconfirmed reports that during this trip, Putin obtains a compromising video of Trump in his Moscow hotel room. Summer 2015. Trump launches his presidential campaign, and Russia launches thousands of fake social media accounts to promote Trump. Russia also hacks the DNC. March 2016. Guess who joins the Trump campaign? Paul Manafort, the guy who helped install a Putin puppet in Ukraine. He'd later be promoted to campaign chair.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
And guess what else? He agrees to work for no money, which begs the question, was Manafort really working for the Trump campaign? Or was he working on the campaign for someone else? Later, Manafort begins providing Russia with internal Trump campaign information, as documented in the Mueller report. July 18th, Republicans kick off their convention. And here's one of the craziest parts of the story. Normally, a presidential campaign is super hands-on about the party platform. But Team Trump reportedly had only one demand for the GOP platform.
They took away the part of the platform calling for provision of lethal weapons to Ukraine to defend themselves. Why is that a good idea?
Look, you know, I have my own ideas.
July 27th, Trump publicly calls for Russia to interfere in the election.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails.
That same day, Russia begins trying to hack Hillary Clinton's personal servers. And throughout the campaign, Trump parrots Putin's talking points on NATO and Ukraine, denying Russia's invasion of Ukrainian Crimea, which had already occurred, in the same way he now seems to be denying Russia's further invasion of Ukraine.
I tell you straight and clearly, there are no Russian troops in Ukraine.
He's not going to go into Ukraine. You can mark it down, you can put it down, you can take it anywhere you want.
Well, he's already there, isn't he?
Okay.
In people's minds and hearts, Crimea always has been and is now a part of Russia.
The people of Crimea, from what I've heard, would rather be with Russia.
There is no more Warsaw Pact, neither the USSR. Why would they need it?
I think NATO may be obsolete.
Retired intelligence officials like former acting CIA Director Mike Morell start sounding alarms that Trump seems to be working for Putin.
I have no doubt that Putin thinks that he's an unwitting agent of the Russian Federation.
The Mueller report reveals that the Trump campaign had over 200 contacts with Russian operatives. More than half a dozen Trump associates would be convicted or plead guilty to crimes as a result of the Mueller investigation. And in the lead up to the 2024 election, Russia continues to work to divide Americans, spread pro-Trump disinformation, and even finance right-wing influencers. Number 2. In his first term, Trump actively advanced Putin's interests in more ways than I can get into. But one of the most meaningful was a side effect of his trying to bully President Zelensky into giving him a personal political favor. Trump tried to withhold about $400 million of security aid for Ukraine unless Zelensky would fabricate an investigation into the Bidens. This was illegal, as determined by the Government Accountability Office, and was why Trump got impeached the first time. And while the aid ultimately got through, delaying it weakened Ukraine and strengthened Russia. Number 3. Putin's also got his hooks in Elon Musk.
People like sometimes like to end this war. Say like I'm a bought asset of Putin. Yeah. I'm like, he can't afford me.
Well, maybe Musk's on sale because he and Putin have been in regular contact since at least 2022. Musk has parroted Putin's talking points about Ukraine and actively undercut Ukraine's war effort by blocking access to his Starlink satellites. And Putin seems to be returning the favor with investments in Musk. He most recently just ordered a major Russian bank to partner with Musk. Some people think Musk, the richest man in the world, is the one with the real power in this White House, and that Trump is the number 2. But if they're both in Putin's thrall, Trump might just be the number 3 in this geopolitical power throuple. I'm Alan Piper at apiper13 and Piperama. Follow Courier Newsroom for the info you need on the Putin-Musk-Trump White House.